It was this time last year that it was basically impossible to see anyone other than Max Verstappen as the driver's champion. He did have a very good start to the 2024 campaign after coming off the back of winning nearly everything in 2023. But we did end up having a title challenge during the course of the 2024 season. And the races in the back end of the season were incredibly close, even though Max Verstappen did clinch the championship. And this is leading many people to become excited about 2025 and what it will bring for the Drivers' Championship. In fact, many fans and pundits are expecting there to be a 4-way battle at most races for the win, which means there could potentially be an 8-way Drivers' Championship fight this season. Now, I don't think it's going to be quite that easy because there are a lot of drivers who may even have a good car but will need to improve to be able to win. So in reality, who are the likely drivers to win the title in 2025? In this video, let's have a look and see who the top 5 candidates are. Let's start with Max Verstappen. He's the defending champion after all, and he comes into this season with probably his biggest challenge to hold on to that crown since he won his first championship in 2021. Red Bull's dominance has slipped over the course of the last season or so. And coming into this season, they're going up against a McLaren team who clearly had the edge at the end of last season, but who were being chased down by Ferrari, and we'll come on to that in just a moment. But Max Verstappen will hope that the Flexi-Wing technical directive, which is coming in 8 races into this season, will make a difference and will allow Red Bull to negate some of the advantages that teams like McLaren and Ferrari have, giving him a shot at the title. Now, Max Verstappen is somebody who, even if he doesn't have the best car, it could be the Red Bull could be 3rd or even 4th fastest, but he will be maximising everything out of that car. So you can't say that Max Verstappen won't have a very good chance of winning his 5th title. But I think if he does, it will be a very hard-fought battle to clinch that and defend that title. Next up, Lando Norris. Now, Lando Norris was a title challenger last season, and McLaren come on leaps and bounds with their car, being able to put their car into the championship winning position for the Constructors' Championship last season. Lando Norris has also come on leaps and bounds as a driver. It was his first time last season challenging for a title, going up against a driver like Max Verstappen, and he would have learned an awful lot from that battle. But unlike last season, where Max had the clear-cut advantage by the points, and Lando was trying to take chunks out of his advantage in every race, meaning that Max didn't have to do many crazy drives to be able to hold on to his title, and Lando was the one who was having to push. If McLaren come out of the blocks with a very, very strong car like they had at the end of last season, well, Lando Norris is going to be in a great position to take the fight immediately and mean that Max Verstappen is the one who has to try to overtake him in the points. I think this battle of Max and Lando is really only hotting up, but the main problem is whether Red Bull has been able to get on top of their car, whether McLaren are able to maintain the advantage they had at the end of last season, especially considering it seemed like the Flexi Wings were what gave them such a good advantage, as well as other upgrades as well. Next up, a bit of an outside shot, Lewis Hamilton. We know that Lewis Hamilton is absolutely desperate to win an 8th title, and he's moved to Ferrari. Some of the biggest news we've had about a driver changing teams probably in the history of Formula 1. Lewis Hamilton isn't washed, to use an expression which is very popular in Formula 1. He is a great Grand Prix driver. In fact, he's always been stronger in the races than he has been in qualifying. But he's going up against Charles Leclerc, who is an excellent qualifier and coming into the peak of his time in Formula 1. So he's got an uphill battle just to beat his own teammate in 2025. But Lewis Hamilton, I don't think you can count out. If Ferrari are able to have a car which is in a very good position, he is a very motivated driver and he has something to show, something to prove. And he also comes in with that, that inertia of coming into a brand new team, having a fresh start, everything being new and exciting. I think we'll have an interesting season with Lewis Hamilton. Obviously, this all depends on how quickly he can get to grips with the car, because drivers like Leclerc, Lando, Max are incumbent at their teams, are comfortably in place and will be able to just get on with the job at hand, knowing the machinery they've got. And Lewis has got to do a lot of learning. But you don't become a 7-time Formula 1 world champion without being able to do some pretty amazing things. So I don't think we can count out Lewis Hamilton with a potential chance to win the Drivers' Championship in 2025. But I don't know whether we could put him high on, he's not going to be in the number 1 spot to win the championship. You can't count him out. Next up, Oscar Piastri. Now, Oscar Piastri, this will be his third season with McLaren, so really he should be in a very good position. Obviously, we saw he did quite a good job with Lando last season, but the problem is that he still has some improvements to do. And Lando, I think, will still have the edge on him in situations in different parts of the race. At the end of the day, this would be Lando's second time in going up to challenge for a title, but this will be his first time really challenging for a title. And we saw last season just how different things are when you're challenging right at the front. So there'll be a lot for him to learn. Again, not saying that it isn't possible. I think he's a good driver. I think he's going to have a very good car. But he's going up against two drivers who are, really at their peaks between Lando and Max and the next driver who is on this list. And I think that Piastri will, have some learning to do. Even if he is able to challenge Lando or Max for the championship, I think he's going to have to learn on the job, as it were. But I don't think with a driver of his talent and skill, you can count him out of that potential for him to challenge for the championship. It really just depends how the season unfolds, because really what we saw last season was they didn't want to call first driver status for any of their drivers. Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari, they all wanted to just let it all play out on track. But if you're in a strong title winning position, if you're ahead in the table with more points, you are going to get a little bit of favoritism because you are more likely to be able to win the championship. So he needs to come out of the blocks, he needs to get attacking straight away, and a driver which will be interesting to keep your eye on in 2025. Finally, we come to Charles Leclerc going up against Lewis Hamilton, an excellent qualifier. Ferrari looking very strong at the end of last season. Hopefully that rolls into the beginning of this season as well. I think he's got a real chance. Obviously, it's been a couple of years since he's been in a position to actually challenge for a title. Not his first championship challenge, although the one in 2022 seemed to fizzle out about halfway through the season. But this could really be Leclerc's big chance to clinch a title. He's going to have a car which is very competitive. He's going to have the opportunities against drivers to be able to go and try and take that title. And the problem for him is just making sure that he gets that preferential treatment over Lewis Hamilton, who is obviously coming into the team with big money being paid to him. He's a star signing for Ferrari. So he needs to make sure he stamps his authority on the team and holds on to that, incumbent driver status. But I think he has an opportunity to go and win the title this season as much as any of the other drivers on this list. And really, it's about time we saw Charles Leclerc be able to do something, because it's been a couple of years since he got that opportunity. But I'm excited to see how it plays out. Now, obviously, there are other drivers in the championship. We know that. There's 20 drivers total. And there are other drivers who I haven't added into this list. Obviously, Mercedes have got a big question mark over them as to whether they are able to do more than they have in the last few seasons. They've got a new driver in Kimi Antonelli. He's going to have to do an awful lot of learning on the job. But, at the end of the day, what it will come down to is how well Mercedes improves. But they weren't there last season, so I couldn't put them in the top 5. George Russell, excellent driver, but I don't think he'll be challenging for the championship this season unless Mercedes come out with a car which is just unbelievable. Who do you think is going to take the title in 2025? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below.